Kate, do you want to talk about apps? You want to talk about, let's talk tactically. You want to talk tactically?
Yes.
Can I talk to you tactically?
You may.
We haven't talked about technology in quite a while. We kind of refer to it all the time, but we haven't talked about, like, what are you using today? And I had last week, I sent you a note. As you recall, it said, hey, one of our podcast listeners sent me a note and said, sure would love to know what other executives are using to keep their lives in order. So ask and you shall receive. I mean, we had to wait a couple weeks because we had other topics we got to get to, right? So I thought it was very kind of her to imply that I had my life in order.
So sad.
Thanks.
Look at
Thanks
you
for the
tricking
compliment.
tricking everyone online.
They're all fooled. I got them all fooled, Kate. Now, the technology that drives your life, it can either be front and center, or it can flow beautifully in the background. I kind of view the tools and the tech that I use as like my insurance. I don't want to talk about, like, if I have to deal a lot with my insurance people, I got the wrong insurance people. Don't you think? Like,
yeah.
I just don't, I want it to flow beautifully in the background. So I use a lot of tech. Do you use a lot of tech, Kate?
I wouldn't say a lot of tech. I think it's easy to try to use a lot of tech, and with automation and stuff, we glamorize it. So we want to use all the tech and all the tools for everything and automate everything, when sometimes it doesn't make sense to do, or sometimes it doesn't make sense in your particular business because there's so much advice out there on all the technology to use, but it just depends on where you are. So I limited the tech I was using because I think I was, trying to use these pieces of technology that the big guys that have millions of subscribers on their email list were using, because that's what they said was the best. And I was like, well, I've got to use the best. So now I just decided, what do I need the most help with? And can I really systematize and automate using tech? And now I just use those. And so when all these other apps pop up on Facebook ads and Instagram, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Don't need it, but that's cool.
I always say it's cool for somebody else.
Yes.
Not for me. Not for me.
Right.
So let's run through a few things, because what you call automation, I call functionality. I was just talking about this with a software company that I'm consulting for, and we're discussing some of their new features that they're rolling out we're talking like the next 3 years. But hey, that's the way software companies work. And they were talking about automating functions, and I said, I reminded them that your audience doesn't call this automating functions; they call it functionality. Like you call a series of manual steps that your clients go through, and condensing them down to one thing. You call it automating functions, but your clients just call it useful.
Yes.
So I think that's the goal for any tech company, just to be useful, not just to be relevant, but to be useful. And I have a couple of favorites. I have a few that have kind of turned me off lately. So we're just gonna have an honest conversation about your favorite tech. So Kate, when I say, like, your favorite tool to use that runs seamlessly in the background and you really just enjoy the fact that you have it, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
The first thing that pops up in my mind is the scheduling app that I have called Acuity.
Mine is also my scheduling app. So tell me about Acuity.
It's so easy. Actually, it's funny because I had used it in the past, and then about 2 years ago, you I love how you were using it. You even have it in your
Uh-huh.
email. So I thought that
Yeah.
was so brilliant because you have your act together. And I want to be like Kyle. So yeah, that is like the simplest one because oh my gosh, how much time do people spend going back and forth in emails? When do you want to meet? Here are the times. Can't do that. What about this? It's exhausting. And so having that scheduling up, especially if you're a consultant or a coach or something like that, where you're constantly meeting with people on the phone or Skype or whatever. So that was like, that's the number one thing that has completely given so much of my time back and gotten rid of all of these back and forth emails of when do you want to meet? It's like, hey, here, just send them the link.
And
It's
people and
so awesome.
people tell you that they like it, right?
Oh, people are like, oh, that was awesome. Like, this is great. What's funny is that I get a lot of, oh my gosh, that was amazing. So easy. This is great. But then they don't do it.
Oh,
Like,
really?
it's
That's
so
interesting.
easy to just get the app, but yeah, more people. It's funny. I would think more people would actually like do it, but I think that for some people they get nervous about technology. They think it's too hard to implement on their own, so they just kind of continue to do things the way they've always been doing it. But yeah, that's a game changer.
Game changer. I know it. My number one is also my scheduling service, and I've been using them for, I don't know, gosh, Kate, maybe 6 or 8 years. I've lost track, but I use Schedule Once, and Schedule Once continues to impress me. They every 3 or 4 months they send an update that has new features in it, new features that I didn't have to pay for. However, at some point, it's first of all, something you got to know about me, trajectory listeners, is when I like an app or a service or a tool, I choose, even if it's free, I choose to get the paid version. I've always been happier that way. And
Yeah.
they don't mess with you. When you're they change the model on the free stuff all the time. But if you're using something and you like it, get the paid version. Even if it's just like to remove ads or to to remove the glass ceiling of licenses or accounts or whatever, get the paid version. This is a part of your premium mindset. If you value something, pay for it. You'll value it more, I promise. And if you don't love it, I'll give you double the stupid, shitty app you were using before. I'll give you double that back. So, oh God, somebody's going to try to call me on that. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So, no, but the Schedule Once, awesome feature. So what I like about it is that I can have multiple meeting types that people can choose from, and I can kind of preset a let's chat or a client session or an extended client session or a build day or all this stuff, and then I can have a completely different kind and even different brand under a different brand, a type of a scheduling that I might use under one of my other brands. So there's the Kyle Sexton brand, and then there's these other things that I do that aren't so me focused, they aren't coaching focused, or consulting. So I love that feature. So that's Schedule Once. But I got to say, it was a very close, very, very close number two, Kate Volman, is Zoom. You mentioned Skype. I'm like, who uses Skype anymore?
I actually meant Zoom when I said Skype because I
Zoom
don't
loves
use
that.
Skype.
Yeah. But
Sorry,
that's
Zoom.
the benefit of being early. Skype was such a game changer for international communication, free of
Yeah.
cost and face to face. But Zoom, the ability to have your own custom Zoom room. Like, here's a tip for all you Zoom users out there: you can tailor your 7-digit room code on Zoom to whatever you want. Like, they'll assign you one, but you can change it. And so I just changed it to my phone number. And it's so much
Oh, that's
easier for people
easy.
to remember. And I created a link, a shortcut So I'm not going to tell you what my shortcut is, because you'll all just go there and start scheduling random meetings to cancel later. But I schedule, my website is kylesexton.com, and I created a subdomain and a shortcut. So I have a kylesexton.com, we'll say schedule with Kyle. That's not it, but when you click on my scheduling link, it's a shortcut to my scheduling system, and I have a similar similar shortcut that is kylesexton.com / let's say see Kyle's face, where that's a shortcut to my Zoom room link. So you don't have to click on zoom.us.my phone number to get into my Zoom room. Those links are readily available, and I have them automated. I have the two of them talking to each other, so that Schedule Once, my scheduling software, sends you my link in every single reminder. It says, when you're ready, click on this link. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, Kate Volman, and people just love it. And they go, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It was so easy to come and see you. Why doesn't my doctor do this?
Yeah, Zoom is really good. And it's super easy too. And I love that it's so functional with multiple people too. So just being able to have a meeting instead of just doing a phone call, being able to have to meet. Yeah, I mean, that's so helpful. Again, especially for those that are consultants, or I know there's a lot of solopreneurs that listen to the show, and I do that with some of the contractors that I work with. That's perfect because a lot of them are all over the world. So to be able to have face-to-face conversations with like my web designer or editors or graphic designers, that's been really fun too, just to kind of get to know them a little bit more that way. And they make it super easy.
Super easy.
And
It's lightweight. Every mobile device that has a camera can access it.
Yep.
So I do meetings with boards of directors, and there's always that 2 or 3 board members that can't be at the meeting, but they want to be included in the topic, and they just want to listen in, and maybe they're driving to the airport or whatever. They can still participate, and they can mute and unmute, and I can mute and unmute them. So if there's background noise, it's just such a great tool. And Eric, the CEO, is a very personable person. And so there was a time period when Zoom was just early that he was emailing every single user and saying, hey, here's my personal email address. I want feedback from you. I almost didn't believe it.
Wow, that's cool. Oh, I love that. Yeah. I feel like companies like that, that's when those types of companies become so successful, because they have someone that cares so much and they know it's about the user. It's about they are obsessed with the user, the experience, and what they can do. I love that. You know what else you can use Zoom for?
Oh, just recording stuff?
Podcasting.
What? That's crazy.
That's what we're on right now.
Yeah, actually, lots of podcasters are using it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other great tools, and this one's not, we didn't talk about tech to talk about podcasting, but if you're going to start a podcast, it's hard to compete with Libsyn, Libsyn, Liberated Syndication. Libsyn is super great for just getting your podcast online and connected to all the feeds and into the world. Super duper easy. If we're talking tech, I got to put FreshBooks up there. My daily tools, and I've been on a commercial for FreshBooks. I was the guy that said, what was the ending of the commercial, Kate? Why would you know? Why am I asking you?
I know I've seen it, but I don't watch it.
Now I'm gonna have to put a link
on a regular basis.
Link to Clean Shaven Kyle doing his pitch for FreshBooks. It was a great commercial and a really cool experience to be part of. And I got to meet Mike, their CEO. Very, very cool guy. Yeah. Yeah. So I got
I'm
to put
surprised that
FreshBooks.
didn't
Like
change
that's
the
my
trick.
top three. That's my top three like daily uses. Schedule once, Zoom, and FreshBooks daily. Awesome. Game changer. Game changer.
FreshBooks should have changed the trajectory of your career, and you should have just been a commercial movie star.
I'm a great pitch man. Although I tell you, it is the only product I have ever publicly endorsed. And I told them that. I said when they called and they said, would you be willing to? And I said, I don't do that. And then I thought about it and I called him back and I said, you know what? I've been following what you guys are doing. I believe in it. I'll put my name on it.
That's
And it's not like a
cool.
public like endorsed by Kyle Sexton, but all my clients from around the US and Canada are calling me going, because they're based in Toronto. It's a very international company. And they're like, did I just see you on TV in Nova Scotia? Yeah, you might.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Oh
might.
my gosh. Another one of my favorite apps that I use every single day is Evernote. I love Evernote. I use that thing for everything.
Did you replace something with it? Like what were you using before you used Evernote? Were you using something?
I still use Google Drive sometimes with like my team, but that I kind of, especially on my own stuff, I use Evernote. So I kind of replaced it just because it was so much easier to get into, to keep track of. I like that you can create the notebooks. I like that you can.
I don't love Google Drive, but I love
No,
Evernote.
not. Yeah, Evernote. That's why I kind of switched
Yeah.
over. It's just the functionality was different and it was easier, and I just liked it. I liked it better.
So I use Evernote for a lot of mind mapping because they have a great tagging strategy, a great notebook strategy. So I can have a page in this notebook over here connected to a page in this notebook over here,
Yeah.
completely different topics, but somehow connected through tagging. Michael Hyatt has done a lot of cool stuff with Evernote, and he gives a lot of great tips and tricks. And he's the one that actually got me to consider switching over to Evernote from whatever the heck I was using before. And but Evernote for me, Kate Bowman, has replaced, wait for it, Microsoft Word. I
Oh.
hardly ever now use Microsoft Word. However, there is a gap in the in my system that one of my other favorites plays a big role in, and that is Dropbox. And for the life of me, I can't figure out why anyone would not have a Dropbox account. It is the best functionality of the cloud ever to me. And Google Drive tries to be Dropbox, and it's not. It's just not.
No, I use Dropbox. I use Dropbox most every day as well. I like that too.
Okay. Here's a tip. Here's a tip for folks. If you've ever lost anything to not being backed up, stop messing around and just put everything you have in Dropbox. Everything you have in Dropbox. It will always be backed up on the cloud. And Dropbox latest feature, Kate, is so good. If you have an Apple Air, a MacBook Air, I said Apple. If you have a MacBook Air, you chose lightweight and limited space and limited memory space, hard drive space, over faster speed, heavier, lots of space. So if you've got a MacBook Air, well, get Dropbox, because on Dropbox, you can select which files and folders don't live on your computer, but are always available. So it will gray it out. You'll still be searchable. Your computer still is searchable with all of your files, but many of the files that you have archived are not any longer taking up space on your PC, on your MacBook Air. it's living in the cloud, and it just takes a second to download it from the intertubes, the interwebs, and to get that back down. It has been awesome for me. I have a banging system that is just tons of space and memory, but I've got a lot of videos and things archived on it. It's a lot of creative stuff. So I can, as soon as I'm done with a file, I can right click on that bad boy and say cloud only, and it's no longer taking up 18 gigabytes on my system. Dropbox, man.
Dropbox.
Saved me from having to upgrade my computer that I'm very happy with.
It's funny you say that, because that's exactly when I started using Dropbox more often, is when I had the MacBook Air, and I was like saving all these big files, and just, it did not make sense. So now I use that so much more. And when I found out that feature too, I was like, oh, this is so cool. You don't need to save it everywhere. Just keep it up, keep it right there. Keep it in Dropbox.
I'll tell you now, we're not talking about anything earth shattering yet, but I want to share with you something that is a game changer for businesses of all types. I am really loving the features and the culture of service that I'm getting from PandaDoc. PandaDoc is a document management. If you do any sort of signatures, legal documents, sales agreements, anything like that, putting my entire consulting, coaching, speaking agreements on PandaDoc has been absolutely tremendous and so fast for me. I'm able to turn around through the template system, and I had a personal call from one of their coaches for free just to get me set up with my basic templates in there. Super helpful. We did a Zoom call, Kate.
Ooh, shocker.
Their Zoom system. And PandaDoc walked me through it, walked me through how to create these consulting agreement templates using my structure, their technology, moving things around, adding some flourish, adding some things that are just not black text on white background. And man, I'm able to crank it out and turn them around super fast. Closing sales, better communication, people sign electronically, and it keeps digital archive. Man, awesome.
Yeah, PandaDocs is really a game changer. It's so much easier to get contracts signed. And the cool thing with PandaDocs is when you send out an agreement of any kind, first of all, you can send out an actual agreement that they have to sign. You can also send out anything that you just want them to look at. You can include video. You can include videos in there, and
embed a video presentation. That is so good.
And you can see if they've opened it, when they've opened it, how many times they've opened it. So you can actually know that people are seeing it and viewing it. And you can do all these other cool features. So like when you get it, like, so my team, they send it out. And so I don't see it to sign it until the client sees it, signs it, and then I'm the last step. And then that last step, then it goes to our accountant, who then sends out the invoice. Like, it's so perfect now. The system is just like, it's incredible. It takes a little bit of time to kind of get it that way, especially if you work with a team, to kind of get everyone like on the right page and creating what needs to be created. And you also have to keep everything updated in there. So we kind of developed a system as far as the team goes, like on a quarterly basis to keep things updated and stuff. But man, it's so awesome. Oh, we love it.
Love it. Love it too. Love it too. All right. Final thoughts, Kate Volman. You got another app or a tech tool that you just can't live without?
The only other one I want to mention is, because I feel like so many people ask me, I don't understand, how do you read so many books? Because I'm always quoting books and sharing different ideas. And I'm still surprised at how many people don't use Audible. Yeah. Audible is like it's the most incredible app. I use it every day. I mean, I'm always listening to audiobooks, and it's the best way to read, quote unquote, read great books even those that if you don't have time, I mean, you fit those things in at the gym when you're cleaning your house, whatever you're doing. So I love that app. I think it's so awesome. And I can't believe how many people don't use it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So Audible is an absolute A+. And in fact, I'd love to get into the business model of Audible at some point later, moving to credits a few years ago, and how phenomenal that is for them. But the best functionality of Audible to me comes from Amazon Echo and your Alexa device. It is so great to wake up in the morning and say, Alexa, play Audible, and it'll pick up right from where you left off. It syncs with your other devices, and it tells you how much time you have how much time you're into that book, how much time you have left, what chapter you're on. I consume Audible a lot more now that I have a home automation with Alexa and all my Echo devices, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Amazon Echo devices. So I love it. Absolute game changer. And I'll throw in, on the topic of Alexa and your Amazon Echo devices, I'll throw in on the home automation. I really am enjoying the Philips Hue light. You can attach it to any light bulb. These smart light bulbs replace your regular light bulbs with LED Philips Hue smart bulbs, and you can home automate anything just from the light bulb itself. You name the light, it is awesome. So the Philips Hue, Hue, for home automation, and you can tell your Alexa to turn off the garage lights, and it will. It is so flippin' cool. So that's all.
Stop saying that. You need to.
What?
You need to stop saying that name when we're on this podcast, because mine always picks it up. It's like saying something out there. I don't know what it's trying to. I don't know what it thinks you asked it, but
Alexa, turn the temperature down to 60 degrees.
Oh goodness, it's so ridiculous.
So your call to action, Trajectory listeners, is if you're using a cool tool that you like, get the paid version. You're going to be happier. And if there's something clunky in your life, ask somebody who's where you're at, who's where you want to be. Ask them what they're doing to handle such and such a problem. Turns out everybody's got an app for that. And you can even search for the Trajectory app. There is such a thing. So until next time, Kay Volman, get trajected. And next week, you're going to be live in Oregon for our Trajectory. Maybe we'll do a couple episodes. We'll see you then. Excited. Party on.
Hey, thanks for listening. If we could, we'd reach over and give you a big hug. But since we can't, before you go, can we ask you a favor? In order for us to create shows you can't wait to listen to, we need your feedback. So please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. It'll only take a minute, but it will mean the world to us, especially if you decide to give us 5 stars. And if you really loved it, take a screenshot, share it on your favorite social media sites, and invite your friends to join the party. Until next time, get trajected.